Okay. Okay. So we yesterday we started speaking about the understanding of the ana. That ana, Rav Soloveitchik explained, is that when we start the vidui and we say ana, it's not that we're not asking for anything like ana, because ana really means please. It's not like we're asking please, please, we're doing vidui. That doesn't make any sense. But rather, what the ana means is that we're standing with dovke b'tshuva, we're standing in front of the Ribono Shel Olam, and we're pleading to be allowed to come into those gates without tshuva. And that's really what ana is. Ana is like really like almost a primordial prayer, asking the Ribono Shel Olam to let us in. So then, says Rav Soloveitchik, called Seder HaTfilah Shel Yom Kippurim, the whole of the davening of Yom Kippur, mit tchila v'ad sof, from the beginning to the end, is all about one objective, and that is the defika ala sharim litfok v'lachzor litfok, is knocking on the gates. We knock, we go back, we knock, we cry out, we come back, we cry out, and we're crying out all the time, ana, ana, ana. That's the whole aspect of Yom Kippur. Rak b'tfilas ne'ilah, it's only at tfilas ne'ilah, he says, where we say the piyut, it's the most beautiful piyut. And you can just see it when you hear the words, Hayom Yefaneh, Hashemesh Yavo V'Yifneh, the day is going. The sun is going down. It's leaving us now. Navoah Sharecha, let us come into your gates. It's only at that point, says Rav Soloveitchik. La'achar 24 sha'ot retzufot shel ta'anit tefillah, after 24 hours ongoing of fasting and of davening, shall the fika al sharim, of knocking on those gates, rak azev shar lavo b'sharim sheniftechu. It's only at this point, after the 24 hours of this whole process of Yom Kippur, that then it's possible for us to come into these gates that are open. We often think, before I learned this, it was always like there's like one tefillah on Yom Kippur, be it Shachris or Ma'ariv or Musaf or Nila, whatever it is, one of them that's like the power one. And you think, okay, now I've like really been yotzizan, I've really accomplished my davening in the way I wanted to accomplish my davening. Says Rav Soloveitchik that's not correct, because the process is a process that is going to be one that demands constant knocking and shouting until we get to that ne'ilah. In fact, Rav Soloveitchik, I'm not sure if he says it in this essay, but he says it elsewhere, that often I don't know what it's like here. I've experienced one Yom Kippur year last year, which was amazing. But in Cape Town, what often happens was that, and I'm sure it's in most of the shuls, in the more traditional shuls, is that Ne'ilah was this time where everybody came, everybody arrived. So it's called Nidrei, do nothing, and then come for Ne'ilah, for that last, the final possibility. And there were a number of people who used to come and just, tell me they'll see me at Ne'ilah. They didn't even come for Kol Nidrei. And then I learned from Rav Soloveitchik explains that Ne'ilah is the conclusion of all the four other tefillot of Ma'ariv, Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, and then the Ne'ilah is the conclusion. And if you haven't done the others, then the Ne'ilah actually is not on a halachic point of view and a process point of view. Ne'ilah actually has no point, because the others are the build-up to Ne'ilah. Now we can understand it. They're the build-up to Ne'ilah in terms of that they are the knocking, the asking, the crying, ana, 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 and then comes Ne'ilah, where we're allowed to go through these what were previously locked doors. And he says that's Zehu Perish Hamilim. That's what the explanation of the words Chayv litvadot lifnei ha'el baruch hu. That we have an obligation. If you remember what we were speaking about yesterday, is that the Rambam used that we have an obligation litvadot to do this confession, this vidui, lifnei ha'el baruch hu, before ha'el baruch hu. So we were trying to understand why he uses that language. Loshen tefillah hizu shehagdarta v'kavanata pnimit mitumetzet bedal lifnei mi'at ha'omed. Why is it? Because the concept of tefillah, the whole structure, the parameters of tefillah are very simple, and that is that we have to know before whom we stand. That is this concept that we find in Pirkei Avot, Dalif Nami Ata'omed. Know before whom you're standing. Ha'adam mitpalel omed lifnei hashchina. The person who's davening is standing before the Shechina. We're not just standing in front of the Aron Kodesh. We're davening lifnei ha'el baruch hu. We've got to know that we're davening before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. והווידוי אינו הצהרה בעלמא, אלא בראש ובראשונה תפילה. And vidui is not just simply a process of confession. It's not just things about trying to get out of the Taurus that we're in. Rather, it in itself is tefillah. And that's why it says, Kedalim uchurashim dafaktim telasecha. Like poor, like nothing. We come and we knock on your door, Ribono Shel Olam. Havidui ikarot fika ala sharim hanaulim. He concludes and he says that vidui is this essence, is knocking on those locked gates. Lifamim heim niftachim, lifna misvadeh, lifamim vayah heim nisharim skurim naulim. Says many times they'll open before the one who confesses, but many times, they remain closed, they remain locked. But when a person comes and he stands to confess before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he recognizes that he is standing not just in a place of tefillah, but actually before the Shekhinah itself, and the whole process of his vidu is an experience of davening. Before you can even begin to say, Ribono Shel Olam, I did all these different aveiros, transgressions, what each one has got its own understanding. Comes out of a person's mouth, this cry, this primordial shout, Ana tavo lefanecha tfilatenu, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let our tefillah, let my davening come before you so that I can really be heard. And that really is the process that Rav Soloveitchik explains, is the concept of tefillah. And in many ways, right now is a time to say, wow, now I know how to daven. I don't know structurally, I may not know the words, but I know that when I come before HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my davening, there's one thing that I need to have, and it needs to be Lifnei Ha'el Baruch Hu. It has to be before the Ribono Shel Olam. It can't be just a process, it's got to be an emotional investment into understanding who I'm standing before. Okay. Then Rav Soloveitchik carries on. If anybody's got the book Ala Teshuva, I'm on page 49. And he says, we can learn another idea from these four words of Lifnei Ha'el Baruch Hu. And what is that? He says, in the second perek of Hilchos Teshuva, Halacha Hey, the fifth halacha, the Rambam writes the following: Shevach gadol lashav sheyitvadeh barabim v'yodia p'sha'av lahem. It is great praise for the person who's doing tshuva. To what? To actually confess his sins barabim in a public forum. V'yodia p'sha'av lahem, and to make known all his sins in front of everybody. Magalei aveiros. And also to reveal the aveiros shebeino levein chaveiro la'acherim. Even not only that, not even the ones where he says, I didn't keep Shabbos, but I was horrible to this one, I spoke Lashon Hara about that one, all the aveiros, even ben adam lachaveiro. V'omer lahem, and sem omnam chatasi leploini ve'asiti lo kach v'kach. Indeed, I've sinned to Ploni, to Chaim Shmerel, and I did kach v'kach, I did the following: v'hareini hayom shav u'misnachem. And today I'm doing tshuva, u'mitnachem, and I regret what I did. Can you imagine that? I mean, can you just imagine everybody standing up and saying, this is what happened. I did X, Y, and Z to Chaim, Miriam, Moshe. Can you imagine that? Says the Rambam, what are you talking about? He's talking dafka aveiros ben adam lachaveiro. He's not talking at all about aveiros ben adam lamakom. Aval aveiros ben adam lamakom. Those ones, the ones that we say, no, I used to not keep Shabbos, now I do. The ones that we prepared to admit, those are the ones. Einot tzarich lefarasem atzmoi. V'azus panimi lo im gilam. Says those are we don't have to reveal. Those are not only that, but there's a level of azut panim, like an arrogance of a brazenness to reveal those things. And the shav lifnei ha'el baruch hu. When it comes to those aveiros, we've got to do tshuva lifnei ha'el baruch hu. The same wording before Kodesh Baruch Hu. Uforek chata'av lefanav. And detail each one of our aveiros, modeh aleim, and then do the confession. So here says Rav Soloveitchik, kan mevi Rambam shuvet hamilim. He brings again the words lifnei ha'el baruch hu, Lahadgish, to emphasize, et hanigud sheben vidui al aveira sheben adam lachavera, to show the difference between averas ben adam lachavera, between man and man. Shalem chayav adam litvadot barabim, because those ones we have to do vidui barabim in the public domain, and we have to make a differentiation between those. The ben vidui shal averas sheben adam lamakom. And we make the differentiation between averas ben adam lachavera and averas ben adam lamakom. Shebahen, those ones, chayav avidui yod beino leveino Elohim bilvad v'lo barabim. The averas that we have between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a discussion between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's got nothing to do with anybody else, and therefore that's a profound vidui. That's lifnei ha'el Baruch Hu. So let's stop there, and Bezrat Hashem, we will continue tomorrow in expanding on this idea of the different types of averas and the different types of vidui. Thanks so much for joining. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, Rav.